Morning, everybody. This is Doug Pinter on Daily Energy from Anytime Fitness North Peoria. Got our good buddy Steve in from Stanley Steamer.
Lou again.
And then a few kids followed us in. My daughter Lola and my son Brady. They are awfully excited to come on air this morning. Yeah, there you go. Give everyone a wave. Mom's flying home from Switzerland today. But Kika, that's a name I could go the rest of my life without hearing. Set a record with 7 RBIs against the Cubs last night. 3 home runs, 1 being a grand slam. Did you stay awake for the entire game?
No, I've had this weird cold and didn't think it was worth it, so I went to bed a little bit earlier. I don't think that's going to get me much of a fan base on here, but you know.
You, along with half the other people watching, I guess the ratings come the 5th inning just dropped off. You started to see some of the Cub fans filing out a little early. But hey, Cubs, yeah, I mean, we made it to the NL Series final, right?
Yeah.
Just Dodgers looked way too impressive. The Cubs bullpen was not playing very well. And then we got the Bears with Trubisky working. He's a work in progress. And we'll make our picks on the Yankees in Houston coming up. But let's get back to the Cubs. Yeah, Kika last night, I think 7 RBIs. He surpasses a great list of players with 6 RBIs in a Division Series championship game. So Kika, 3 home runs and a grand slam. The Cubs bats just went cold in the playoffs. I mean, I think they scored a total of 8 or 9 total runs against the Dodgers. I looked up some stats. I think the bats, you know, our Brizzo was a bust come postseason, right, Brady? I mean, you fell asleep twice on the couch when they were up to bat, and Lola was playing Barbies. She just didn't care. Oops, sorry. So Avila, he was the leading batter. He was batting 1,000. So, and then the second best hitter in the lineup, Arrieta, batting .323. Lester and Quintana batting .250. Almora Jr., who was a stud coming into the playoffs, hot bat, he ended up batting .227 postseason. Chris Bryant, .200, and Rizzo batting a mere .135. That's not going to get the job done. However, here's what I think Arrieta did. I think he increased his stock after last night's pitching performance. He had some filthy stuff. He ended up with a postseason ERA of .84. So he was absolutely shut down. Then Lester was 1.88 ERA. Hendricks was a 3.94, and Quintana ended up with a 5.4 ERA after getting knocked around last night. Davis, the closer, pitched, I think it was 48 pitches. What day is today? Friday. So that would have been Wednesday night. He threw about 48 pitches. So I think even if the Cubs were in the ball game last night, I'm not sure the bullpen would have been able to come in and get the job done.
Yeah, LA's got a stacked pitching rotation.
It's unbelievable.
It's not even fair.
Kershaw's just filthy. That breaking ball. I mean, it starts high in the zone and lands on the plate. And these are some of the best players in the world looking foolish up at the plate. Right. Davis ended the postseason with a 4.26 ERA, and Lackey, see you later, Lackey. Maybe you'll head back to St. Louis, 9.82 ERA. I enjoyed having Lackey on the team. I thought he brought a little zest, a little bit of a Zambrano-ish on the mound, kind of mean mugging the umps and you know, letting them know what he thought. Montgomery, the biggest disappointment, 16.62 ERA. So definitely coming into the 2018 season, I think the Cubs front office has a lot of work to do. Obviously, our pitching was weak at best coming into the postseason when you're playing against teams that are on a roll. And then our closer. Obviously, Madden was in search of finding that closer consistently to come into the ball game. Rondon would come in. Gosh, that guy gets my heart rate rolling. He was giving up home runs like it was his job.
There's some good closers, though, that'll be on the market at the end of the year.
Who's coming on the market?
I think they said Holland from the Rockies. He's available, and then there was like 3 or 4 other ones. So there's going to be some decent closers that'll be up for grabs at the end of this year. So
hopefully the Cubs will buy all of them up because we need it. I know it's exciting stuff, isn't it, Brady? Stay awake over there. And the Cubs committed a total of 9 errors in the playoff. You know, they pride themselves on defense, but there were a lot of booted balls and just mishaps out in the outfield. So what do you do, Cubs? Our season is over, but it's the Yankees in Houston tonight in game, what is that, game 6?
Game 6.
Yankees are leading that series 3-2. We're going to touch base on that game, as well as our Bears and some college football Coming up shortly on Daily Energy, we got our good friend Steve in house with Stanley Steamer.
Yep.
What are you noticing this time of year? What is making your guys' phones ring? Is it all the allergens? Now that the farmers have been through the fields, people tend to open their windows and let all that in. What's keeping you guys busy?
So I think we're getting a combination of the two things. Allergy season is definitely spiking up. It's kicking my butt right now. But then also B, with the holidays getting ready to come up, everybody's anticipating having family coming in, and everybody wants to have that nice clean appearance to their house, and make sure everything's good to go and looks great for when their family comes in. So we're doing a lot of carpet and tile and hardwood and a lot of good stuff going on out there.
We're already sitting on October 20th. I see you dressed up early for Halloween.
Oh yeah,
Good
on a
for
daily
you.
basis.
I loved your Snapchat this morning. Mike's over there, and what type of lead time do people need to reach out to you? I mean, you probably can't get there the next day.
So we try to do same day to next day service. Obviously, the closer we get to Thanksgiving, I would definitely give yourselves a little bit more time. Typically, when we get closer to Thanksgiving, we're usually looking 2, 3, 4 days out, depending on what time frame works best for you. We have anywhere from 8 to 9, 9 to noon, 10 to 1, 11 to 2. And then if, we need to, we can go a little bit later in the days for you and try to make things work out. But we definitely try to do our best to get there within a couple days.
So they can give your office a call or hop on StanleySteamer.com, I
Yep.
assume, and
Yep.
check it out. I think they can book their appointments right there while they're online. Is that accurate?
Yeah, that is true. You can do everything that you need to do right there online. Book everything, set up your time frame, pick your time frame. There's a whole list of different things. Or if there's something that you didn't know that we did and you don't know exactly how it works, there's videos on there, and it'll give you a little tutorial and give you a little, I guess, a synopsis of that product service for you.
I hope it's our good friend Mark on some of those videos giving us, what we can expect from Stanley Steamer right here in Peoria.
Oh, if only. So.
If only. Yeah. So speaking of Mark, Mark's the owner. He's
Yep.
also, you're also involved with Dunlap JFL, but I believe Mark is running the Dunlap JFL.
Yep.
That's correct. So how many more weeks Dunlap JFL have?
So we've got 2 more weeks. We've got obviously this Saturday coming up, and then we've got one more game after that. And I believe this weekend the senior and the varsities are actually going to Indianapolis to go play in the stadium. And
Over at the
so
Colts Dome,
yeah.
right?
So that's pretty exciting for them. Definitely really cool to see those kids grow up and get to go do something real memorable before they move on into high school. So
That would be a cool stage to be able to get out there and play. Maybe the Colts or I think they're playing, is it the Houston Texans?
I believe
I think
so,
they
yeah.
might be playing Houston. Maybe someone will get drafted because both those ball clubs could probably use an old lineman or
they
two.
can definitely need something.
So, hey, how much success do you guys, relish in the success of the Dunlap Eagles football program going on now? Are these kids that are playing the Mangieri, am I saying that right?
I believe so, yeah.
And a few of the others, I know that quarterback is a junior,
Mm-hmm.
and he's been being recruited heavily. I watched a couple games. He's rather impressive on both sides of the ball for Dunlap Eagles. Are these kids, have they been groomed through your JFL program, or is this like the beginning of that JFL program coming through?
So this is going to give Mark a bigger head than what he already has. But,
That's impossible. Look
yeah.
out, he'll be flying over Peoria.
He's definitely super excited about this year and the years to come, because I know he was saying that this year's group of kids is some of the first kids that came up through the JFL program and have made their way up through it. So, yeah, some of the kids that he coached and made their way through. So, yeah, it's pretty heavy in that area for him. So,
Mike, if you could somehow edit that and maybe put something in there of us tearing Mark down a little bit instead of so complimentary, that would be wonderful. But yeah, I mean, the high school season, they're still undefeated. Is that accurate?
And they play Canton tonight, so
At
that'll be
home?
an interest. No, I think it's in Canton.
In Canton?
Yep.
Well, I mean, the weather's been terrible on Friday nights for football, so
Right.
if you don't have any plans, get on over to Canton, watch Dunlap Eagles take on the Canton Giants, right?
Yep.
Over
It's
there.
going to be an interesting game too, because Canton had a really good game last week and
Yeah.
definitely put on a show. So
Well, they're going to have to play a really good game because the couple games I've been over to watch the Dunlap Eagles, they looked rather impressive. Lola, you go there with your friends. You even cheerlead for the Dunlap JFL. What do you have to say about the JFL program? You having fun? Yeah? What's one of your favorite cheers?
pick up the mic.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's so many to choose from.
How about back up that truck? Woot, woot.
That's not a cheer.
That is not a cheer. Maybe it should be considered one. Brady, Blondie, what are you laughing about over there? You having I know when I take you, it's usually a bag of popcorn, some soda, and something else. How are you enjoying the sidelines of the Dunlap JFL program?
Good.
Some of your buddies play football for Dunlap JFL, right?
Yeah.
Like Drew down the road?
Yeah.
What's Drew got to say about the Dunlap JFL program? Is he having fun? Learning a lot?
He likes it until he gets tackled a lot.
Yeah. Well, tell him to run faster and dodge harder, and he won't get tackled. So, how many kids do you guys have coming through the Dunlap JFL program this year?
I don't know what the exact number is, but obviously it's quite a few between the squirts, the peewees, JV, senior, varsity. There's a decent amount of kids.
And I tell you what, when I go and I watch Lola cheer, and Mark always makes fun of me for my hair from the booth.
Or your pink shirt.
Well, hey, yeah, I'm going to touch on that, why I'm wearing pink, because real men wear pink, and I'm fighting the fight in Peoria.
There you go.
I forgot where I was going with this. Oh, the Dunlap JFL program, it's not just always handing off up the gut. I mean, these kids are dropping back 3-5-step drops, putting a ball on the dime to a receiver, cutting across the middle. It's exciting to watch. And we got to watch the 7th and 8th graders last week. And, I mean, it's exciting football for younger kids.
Yep. Yeah, they've definitely prided themselves in switching over to more of a spread offense, trying to make that transition easier for once they get out of the JFL program and start going into the high school because, Dunlap runs that spread offense, and it's what's working for them.
Yeah.
And so if you go from, a different operating system, and then once they get to high school and then they have to relearn that, and that transition period's a little bit rougher, whereas right now, going from that spread offense and going into that high school program, it's a lot smoother transition. So
consistency breeds success is what I was told.
Yep.
So congrats to you and all the other coaches, Scott Gall and all my buddies that are out there, and Mark for heading up the Dunlap JFL. I think you guys do a great job with the program, and I love how the players, at the end of every game, they go give high fives, and there's still that respect on the field. So breeding good players right in our back door. Dunlap taking on Canton Giants tonight, so make sure if you don't have any plans, get over there. It's going to be a beautiful night, and maybe we'll see one of these guys quarterbacking for the Bears. However, Trubisky,
you got Trubisky though, so
he's been putting up some good plays. The Bears are 2-4. They've lost a couple close ones. Let's start with Atlanta at home. They had a couple shots in the red zone, 1st and goal, and a couple of the wide receivers dropped right at the end zone, leading to a 2-4 disappointing season. However, I think with those losses, it does give Trubisky the time on the field that he needs to be groomed into that quarterback that I think all of us Bears fans are kind of waiting to hang our hat on. He could be that franchise quarterback down the road. Have you watched much of the Bears, and what's your thoughts on them?
Yeah, I've watched a decent amount. Trubisky definitely shows that he's got some promise for the future. I mean, he's putting balls on a dime and making a little bit more, I wouldn't say veteran plays, but he's making a little bit more mature plays and showing his athleticism. It'd be nice if the Bears could get a little bit better receiving core to go along with that arm. To be able to go up and make those plays. So, yeah.
I think they have some young guys coming up, starting 2 rookies last week, I believe. And I agree. Trubisky, hang on, honey. We'll talk about something more riveting for you. But Trubisky, the ball was snapped over his head, went to the end zone. He didn't freak out. He gathered himself, avoided a defender, threw the ball out of bounds.
Yep.
Got the ball back to the line of scrimmage. And Howard for the Bears, he's putting up some numbers. He's consistent. The one thing that concerns me with Howard is I think the Bears are using him much like Forte, taking that pounding, underpaid, and then when it comes time for that money, the Bears release Forte. He's having a heck of a season still. And Howard's putting up some numbers. The Bears are in the bottom third, though. They rank 28th, 17.5 points they average per game. 306 yards will get you 27th in the NFL. Passing and rushing, passing, they're 170 a game, 28th ranked. However, the rushing, 136 yards on the ground, which is 3rd in the NFL. So there's Howard in that O-line. I agree. Let's get some people out there with some hands that can catch these passes. And I do think the Bears will be relevant probably in about 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, they definitely got some work to do, but you know, if they keep going on the same path that they're working towards, I think they have some promise in the future. So
I think if you just take a quick look at Trubisky's numbers, he's completing less than 50% of his passes. I think some of that falls on those wide receivers.
Right.
Hopefully good things for the Bears. Bears at home against Carolina. Carolina's -3, and the over-under is 40.5. I like the Bears at home against Carolina this week.
It's going to be all about shutting down Cam, just like any other time that you play against him. And if Cam seems like he's kind of trying to revert back to the old Cam and scrambling a little bit more and trying to gain those yards with his legs. So,
you taking the Bears or Carolina?
I'll go with the Bears.
Bears +3. I do think Trubisky, the reason I take that pick is I think Trubisky is getting synced up with some of his wide receivers. That O-line is doing a decent job of protecting them. I think Howard's going to have a heck of a game against that Carolina. If he can break through into that secondary, I'm not sure who's going to stop him.
Right.
Packers with no Rodgers. I mean, I'm a Bear fan, but I don't like to see great players in the NFL go down. And this is why I think the NFL has looked at these rules of protecting the quarterback and these receivers. Because once a player such as Rodgers for the Packers goes out, if there were Mike, you a Packer fan? Do you think the Packers make the playoffs?
No, there's no
Rodgers
way.
is what he says. Yeah, and I'm in full agreement. I think the Packers are going to go to the ground and pound. They're just going to be shut down, forcing that backup quarterback to make those throws. I read up on him this morning. His name's slipping me. But I think Nelson and Adams, if you got them on your fantasy team, you might want to look at a backup wide receiver. I'm not sure how many throws they're going to be getting out into the flats. And it's just kind of deflated Green Bay. They're tied with Minnesota up towards the lead. I think Minnesota is the clear front runner for the NL Central.
And Green Bay's having a rough year anyways with tackles going down and just plagued by injuries this year. So
I mean, as much as I'd like to rub it in for you cheeseheads, I do feel bad, especially on that bogus hit when that defender lifted him, moved his hips, rotated so he could land on his collarbone area, and you could see the frustration in Rodgers as he was getting up.
Yeah, he was a little upset when he left the field.
I don't think he said, "I'm sending you a Christmas card." I'm pretty sure that's not what he said.
No steak dinners.
Yeah. Last night's game, if you were able to stay up, maybe you were switching over to that. I know we were, right, buddy, on the couch. Said, heck with the Cubbies, let's get over to Kansas City and Oakland. And that ball game actually turned into a ball game coming down the stretch. Last week, Kansas City was terrible. They had a total of 6 total yards after the third quarter. Kansas City, though, last week had a shot late in the game, as bad as they were playing, to win that. And last night, Oakland sneaks out a win. As time expires, Kansas City made 3 straight penalties on defense, extending the game with no time, to where finally Carr connected with Cook, I believe, in the corner of the end zone. And Oakland pulls out the victory, 31-30 over Kansas City. I think Kansas City traveling that time zone after a tough week last week. No surprise Oakland pulled that out late.
Yeah. I
know you were catching Z's by that time, right?
I was done for by that time. Kansas City last week, not a real big surprise to lose against Pittsburgh. They don't tend to do very well against Pittsburgh, but I'm kind of surprised that Oakland was able to pull that off last night. So,
well, my friend TJ out there, TJ, if you're listening, feel free to drop that 20 in the mail that you owe me. Appreciate that. A couple games this week. Baltimore at Minnesota. Minnesota -6. I think Minnesota has some newfound energy with Rodgers going out. I think they can start putting nails in coffins there. So I think Minnesota at home -6. Now the game I'm very interested in is Sunday night, Atlanta at New England. I think this will be a high-scoring affair, and I think Atlanta will hand New England a loss.
With New England's run defense the way it is right now, I wouldn't be surprised if Atlanta goes to the ground and pound. New England is just giving up ridiculous amounts of yardage on the ground.
They can't hide that their defense is weak.
weak is an understatement. It's bad.
And I think Brady can only do so much with Gronk and his core of receivers, but when the other teams are putting up 35 to 45 points a game, that's tough to run with. That's a lot of pressure before you even hit the field. Hey, can you tell me who has the best record in the NFL right now?
Not offhand.
What about you, Mike? Any guesses? Brady, Lola, anything?
It's not the Rams.
Who are you guessing, Lola? This ought to be something. Let's hear it.
I don't even know what you guys are talking about, so
That's foreign. All right. Brady, who do you have in the NFL with the best record? Any guesses? Mike guessed Kansas City.
Atlanta.
Atlanta, definitely not. They've lost at their home field advantage in that new stadium. Philadelphia Eagles sitting 5-1. Nobody would have picked the Eagles coming out of there, and they are absolutely monstrous on that defensive side of the ball. They are just holding opponents down, and the Carson Wentz.
Yep.
He's had a couple solid games when they need him to come through. So Philly 5-1. Keep your eyes out on them as they come down the stretch. Pretty free of injury, so I don't see why that 5-1 wouldn't turn into a 10-2 and land them in the playoffs for sure coming down the stretch. We have our good friend Steve with Stanley Steamer sitting in for Mark, who's out doing something.
Having fun.
Probably something with the Dunlap JFL. If you're tuning in a little late, get back to the front of the show. We were talking about if you're hosting for Thanksgiving, you don't want to scrub those toilets and showers and the kitchen and the tile. These guys do all of that, and they do it 110%. Place will even have that little sparkle at the end. And you'll get to see my good friend Steve, who has been in my house a couple times, unfortunately, but you guys handled everything flawlessly from start to finish. You can go online, stanleysteamer.com. Do you happen to know the phone number down at the office?
Yep. It's 309-692-1990.
1990 are the final four numbers. So if you don't want to mess with the cleaning, you want to focus on cooking up the turkey and the food, Stanley Steamer will get that house whipped into shape. Now, don't wait until the last minute because they are starting to book up. They can typically service same day, maybe next day. But again, as the holidays get closer, they're going to be booked up. Now, hey, you guys are coming over to Anytime Fitness, North Peoria.
Yep.
And you guys are spraying a bacterial spray in the shower rooms and the restrooms. Mm-hmm. Can you tell me what that does and how it works?
So it's our it's called a pathogen control system. Basically, we use what's called an electrostatic sprayer, and it changes.
Are you guys like Ghostbusters coming in?
Oh, we're trying.
That'd be sweet.
So it changes the electrostatic charge of the spray and turns it into a negatively charged spray, so it'll actually stick and surround and envelop all the areas. And the spray, it started in hospitals and nursing homes and playgrounds, daycares, things of that nature. But it's supposed to get rid of viruses, bacteria, funguses, and they make some other claims to fame. But it's more of a preventative maintenance. So every time you turn on the light, it reactivates the spray, and then the spray will envelop whatever's sitting on top of it and get rid of it for you.
Let me ask you, with this spray, I'm turning into a germaphobe the older I get. Yeah, I'm pretty ancient right now, so I am a big germaphobe. But when we wipe down those surfaces, what happens to that spray?
It actually, according to the manufacturer, it's supposed to have a shelf life on your walls and on higher trafficked areas for about 6 months, so it's not going to go anywhere. The only thing that you would actually end up having to worry about is if there was any items that would go from, in your mouth that you would consume. So if you have dishes out, plates out, anything of that nature that, you're going to put in your mouth, you would have to have those put away, or you would have to make sure that you wash them when we got done.
All right. So with no dishwasher in the bathroom, I'm good to go.
Well, I hope you're not putting anything in your mouth in the bathroom either.
No, nope,
No.
nothing. I'm usually on my phone checking Instagram or laughing at your Snapchats that you send over. Our good friend Steve with Stanley Steamer. Let me ask you this bacterial spray. Mm-hmm. Do you do that in homes as well, I would assume? Or is it primarily commercial?
Typically we use it for commercial, and we use it, on some of our mold mitigations. But we are going to start offering it for residential, if people need it.
Good, because someone sitting at this table has a hard time hitting this toilet, so that might help with everything. I'm not naming any names. It is me. So Steve, with Stanley Steamer, if you're tuning in late, get back to the front of the show. We covered a little bit about the Dunlap JFL, our Bears, our Cubs, maybe next year. We're already saying that. Some of my friends are saying, oh, we're still defending world champs. I think we got to let that go.
Well, you got a couple weeks left. So.
Don't be that guy. I took W flag down last night. It's my last walk of shame. I took that bad boy to the basement. Said, see you next year, maybe. We got college football, but before we get to college football, let me hop on while I'm wearing pink. I am part of the Real Men Wear Pink campaign with the mayor, some sheriffs, city officials. It's a wonderful group of people, and we're raising lots of money for the American Cancer Society. The money that we're raising will go to help fight this terrible, terrible disease that so many people are fighting. I have friends. I lost a good friend, Doug, to breast cancer. Yes, males can get breast cancer and it can take their lives. I have a member, Debbie. We did a Relay for Life in honor of Debbie, and she's just a wonderful lady beating cancer. And then my good friend Callie up in Morris, who is a little bit younger than I, 2 children, just finished her 16th chemo treatment, and hopefully they got everything. She's rocking that bald look. But some of the money that we raise will help go to purchase wigs for people that are fighting this terrible, terrible disease. Last thing in the world I would ever want any of my loved ones, my family, my daughter, or my son having to fight this terrible disease. So when you see people out wearing pink, we're all fighting that fight. If you want to donate, you can go to American Cancer Society. You can type in my name, Doug Pinter, P-I-N-T-E-R. You can search me, and then you could donate. And just know that I, along with all of those fighting this terrible disease, greatly appreciate your support. On a little bit lighter note, let's get over to college football real quick. We got Bama still ranked #1. Georgia moved up in the ranks with Clemson and Washington State losing last week. Penn State sitting in 3rd. Big game against Michigan Saturday night at 6:30. Penn State -9.5. I think Penn State at home has no problem covering that spread. I think Michigan's a little overrated. Take that, Jeff Bach. Ohio State, Jeff Griffin. How the heck did the Bucks get in here at 4? That's got to be some sort of typo or a couple years ago. TCU at 5. Let's get down. Clemson dropped to 9. Notre Dame sitting at 10, playing USC. Notre Dame on at 6:30. Notre Dame -3. That game scares daylights out of me. Michigan, just in case anyone wanted to know, ranked 22nd. FSU, they're ranked 24th in the national polls with a 2-3 record. Can someone explain that to me?
Yeah,
because just a few positions below them, we got a couple 4-2s, 5-1s, good programs. We got the Yankees and Stros going tonight. You got Severino against Verlander. Stros are favored to win. Over/under 7.5. What's your thoughts? Stros at home.
I'll take the Yankees. If they can get Verlander deep in the count early and get that pitch count up after him just getting done throwing 120-plus pitches a couple nights ago, I think his arm will be tired. And if they can get him deep early, then he'll be out of there, and the Yankees will have a shot.
I think the Stros win this one about 8-2 tonight. So it sounds like we might have a side wager rolling out in about a minute. And I think it'll go to a Game 7. I think Yankees will clinch Game 7. I think it'll be the Yankees-Dodgers. That's a great following for the MLB. You got tons of Yankee fans. And I think also people either love or hate the Yankees. And that will make you possibly root for the Dodgers. However, I think the Dodgers have that love-hate.
Yep.
You either love them or you don't. So I think the ratings will be good. First game of the World Series, Tuesday the 24th. Steve, I appreciate you coming on the show this morning with Stanley Steamer. Lola, thanks for getting up and looking beautiful as always. Son, appreciate you doing your hair this morning. What are we going to do this afternoon until Mom gets home from Switzerland? You got a birthday party? Oh, we got to go shoot a commercial. Man, on that note, my name's Doug Pinter with Anytime Fitness Peoria. My son Brady, daughter Lola, my good friend Steve with Stanley Steamer. Have a great weekend, everybody.
PeoriaLife.com